In this video we're going to walk from Bayswater station to Paddington. That's nice, Inverness Mews. I'm just actually coming out to Malaysian street food. No reason apart from I like the look of it. And that's a rather interesting doorway next door. Anyway, I digress. Absolutely literally, because I've walked the other way from where I need to go. Since I've started taking you the wrong way, just to have a look at a Malaysian restaurant, I'm going to slot in while we navigate Queensway ahead of us. I'm going to slot in some old maps and we'll take a look at some of the history of the area, right from the days when all around here was fields and Blackman Lane was a thing. The central feature on this map is Blackman Lane. This would later become Queensway, but at this time it stretches down to the Bayswater Road. You can see Bayswater Hill marked right at the bottom of this map, and there's an inn called the Black Lion Inn on the corner of Blackman Lane and the Bayswater Road. And speaking of inns, right at the top of Blackman Lane is Royal Oak, and this would become the pub that Royal Oak Station is named after. It's very, very rural in these days, and you can see that Kensington gravel pits in the bottom left hand corner. I managed to source a whole load of field names from a parish map of Marylebone, and if we go back to where the Black Lion Inn is, at the corner of Blackman Lane and the Bayswater Road, you can see that the field behind is called Oxford Arms Field. So Black Lion was not the first name for this pub. And another feature is Upton Farm, which is just along the way a bit to the right, to the east, to the right of the Black Lion Inn. There's a little lane up to Upton Farm. So this was a farm that managed all these fields you can see named. Let's go forward 60 years. In the intervening period, this area has become extremely urbanised. Blackman Lane is now called Queen's Road. Apart from the rural lanes, the first roads built in the area were Moscow Road, stretching west from Queen's Road here, and Petersburg Place, which connected Moscow Road down to the Bayswater Road. Incidentally, you can see Uxbridge Road is the actual name for Bayswater Road. Bayswater Road was quite an informal name in those days. But the 1860s development has created Westbourne Grove. You can see this at the top of Queen's Road, also stretching off to the west. The 1900 is a bit harder to see because it's very, very detailed, but you can see the Paddington Baths just around about 3/4 of the way up on the left of Queen's Road before it bends, and this would later be replaced by Whiteley's department store. And indeed on the 1950s mapping you can see Whiteley's in place, and the area opposite the department store is quite clear. This had suffered bomb damage some years earlier in the Second World War, but the Hallfield estate is also going up. Queen's Road, by the way, was in the 1930s renamed Queensway. There are so many Queen's Roads all over London it was confusing the post office. And finally let's go forward to the modern map, over 70 years later. And we can see both tube stations, Queensway and Bayswater, are quite close together. So this is the Whiteley's building. They're redoing it right now, but I think they're actually keeping the facade and changing the inside. Most recently used as where a whole load of TV programs used to film at the top, like Something for the Weekend about a decade ago. So Queensway continues up there. But we're going to continue down Porchester Gardens.
Remember when we was having a beer, I said I had a bit of a pain in my back.
So since Bayswater is quite so beautiful in the back streets, we're going to be taking a bit of an architectural tour of the area. But first, let's take a look at the route we'll be taking today. During the course of this video, some of the more knowledgeable people viewing this will be going, "Why didn't you visit there?" But the reason I pass there but don't particularly take a look at it is because it's featured in yet another video in detail. So there. And for some people, so mysterious. What am I talking about? On the corner of Porchester Gardens and Porchester Terrace here, we will do a bit of a dog's leg over to Leinster Place. So up that away is the Hallfield Estate and Paddington. We're just having a bit of a detour.
Dans le cœur de Londres, où les feuilles dansent, les façades anciennes, esprit d'élégance, sur les pavés mouillés, s'écrivent des romances. Boutique d'antan pleine d'espérance, la brise murmure à chaque passant, des contes urbains charmants et troublants. Et les rues de Bayswater, sous un ciel perlé, promenades et mystères, cachés dans la brume grise, chanteurs de rêve, bienvenue à Bayswater, poète de l'écho, bienvenue à Bayswater. Au détour de Westbourne, douce mélodie, des cafés qui s'animent, un air de vie, où le jazz s'infiltre entre bruits de la ville. C'est un coin de Londres où les heures sont tranquilles.
This is a uniform street frontage, which is very like upstairs, downstairs. The TV programme from the 70s, Leinster Place, was they lived in a very posh area where everything was identical, and it is here as well. We'll walk through to the other side of the gardens. So again, there's a uniform frontage with just numbers and porticos. So down there, where there are other houses now, were the servants' quarters for these fine houses. So they're all now basement flats, and indeed these single buildings, rather nice flower area. These single buildings are being converted into multiple occupancy, so lots of flats. There's a break in the facade here, which might have been a bomb or something, because the houses stop. This happens, and then they start up again. It's certainly a showery day, because I've been hiding from raindrops, and now the sun is out. So we turn our left from Queen's Gardens and look for the Chilworth sign. It shouldn't be too far up this way. So indeed, here is Chilworth Street. Rather dangerously, I'm walking on the road here. And over there is Cleveland Square. And up above the modern W2 City Westminster sign, you can see the old street name just above the Chilworth food store. So at the end of the street there is Paddington Station. This is Westbourne Terrace, which is converted into a lot of hotels alongside the housing. And this being Westbourne Terrace, the next street up is Eastbourne Terrace. Now, I think poking out the top there is a building called Telstar House, which used to be a London Underground office building, and the reason I know that is because I used to work in it. it's the same building at all, but it's certainly in the same place. But one side of the Mews atmosphere is a little altered. And another Mews opposite. So the Mewses would serve the houses with stables of Westbourne Terrace and Eastbourne Terrace, somewhat before the station, or maybe, I don't know my history, maybe coincident with the station. However, the station across the road here in Eastbourne Terrace causes a huge change in atmosphere, especially with the Elizabeth line having arrived in this cavernous space in front of the station.
Exit to street, underground and national rail. Ticket hall for next to Elizabeth line.
Okay, I think we're officially here. Paddington Station.